Hello folks, how are we? Yes, I know what you're thinking. What is Ty doing with a sports coat on? Well, it's actually winter and I'm a little bit cold, but forget about that. We have another amazing man on the show, Dr. Dain Heer. Thank you so much for giving us some time. Huh?
Great pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Another amazing human being who's doing his best to elevate the consciousness and the vibration of the planet. Access consciousness. I'm supposed there's a lot of people out there who may not be familiar with the term. Can you bring us up to speed on what it actually is?
Well, access consciousness is basically a set of tools, techniques, information, ways of looking at the world that allow you to change anything you've ever wanted to change. And it can be in your body, it can be in your emotional health, it can be in your mental health, it can be in your relationships, your sex life, your money situation. Ooh. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And literally anything you want to change. And it's based on the idea that consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. There are a lot of people who used to sort of talk about spirituality, and now they're talking about consciousness, but they don't actually have a definition of it. Yeah. Our definition of it is where everything exists and nothing is judged. And if you never had to judge anything or anyone, and you could undo all the judgments you've ever had in the past, your life would become this miraculous place.
Talking about judgments, is judgment something that energetically holds us down?
Well, the thing is, judgment is one of the biggest killers there is. Yeah. It's like if you look at it, you can either have judgment or you can have gratitude.
And we can't help ourselves. We just do it automatically all day long.
Well, and that's the thing is we don't know that we can help ourselves.
Yes.
But once we realize we can start changing the sort of tidal wave of yuck that's been in our lives in whatever area it's been, and actually start creating possibilities from it. Because the thing is, judgment is sort of the biggest killer. It's like you can either have judgment or gratitude. Yeah. You can have judgment or love. You can have judgment or joy. You can have judgment or happiness. You can have judgment of wrongness, or you can have the joy of knowing that there's actually nothing wrong with you.
Yes.
And so what ends up happening is, if you can ask yourself, hey, you know what? If I didn't have any judgment of this person or this thing, how would it look different to me? How would it feel different to me? We've sort of been picking up everybody else's judgments around us about what's right, about what's wrong, about who people are, about how they are, about how we are, and how we can and cannot be. Mm-hmm. And we've adopted all these points of view energetically, and they don't really have very much to do with us. So if we were to ask ourselves, you know what, what's my point of view in this situation? And if I had no judgment in this situation, what could I choose? So if you start by asking questions, see, a question always empowers, an answer disempowers. Anything we're willing to ask a question about, we can have a different possibility with. So if you start asking those questions that we just talked about, and then there are a few others that if you start instituting them, what they do is they take you out of the judgment of things. So a question such as, how does it get any better than this? You want to ask it when something good happens or when something bad happens. In a bad situation, it'll make it better. In a good situation, it'll make it even better than it just got. One of the things that we found in Access Consciousness is that 98% of your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions don't actually belong to you. You literally pick them up like a big psychic radio receiver. Like if you've ever been around somebody who's sad, do you notice how you start to feel sad and you don't know why?
Exactly.
And you're thinking, wait a minute, I'm not the sad one here, except that's got such an intense resonance to it that we end up vibrating like that. We're kind of like tuning forks to other people.
You have a clearing statement you call pod and POC.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about how that clears negative energy out of our bodies, or if that's in fact what it does?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, it's like this. Our judgments and our points of view that we use, that we stick in place, are the things that end up sticking us. The way I put it is this: your point of view creates your reality. Reality doesn't create your point of view. Yeah. So you can have two totally different people who respond to the same situation in two totally different ways. They're going to get two totally different outcomes as a result of it.
Yep.
What this does is when you're in a place where you feel like you don't have a different choice, you can use this to actually create a different choice. The short form for it is POC and POD, which stands for going back to the point of creation, or wherever you lock this limited point of view in place and think there's no other choice, and undoing it. And literally, you're asking the consciousness of you to do that, and the consciousness of you actually knows where it is.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So this POC and POD is literally, you can use it to change any area of your life. So for example, it's short form for a very somewhat long clearing statement, which is right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, or POC and POD, all 9, shorts, boys, and beyonds. You don't have to use the whole thing, but basically what all of that whole thing is designed to do is to take every piece of a limitation that we now have and undo it. Basically dismantle the limitation.
Yeah.
And so with this POC and POD thing, what you want to do is you can do something like ask a question like, hey, everything that doesn't allow me to be as joyful as I can be today. I'm willing to now let that go, and you go, okay, pock and pot it, which means go back to the point of creation of whatever's creating you not being as joyful as you are, and let it go. Yeah. Or pod, which is the point of destruction. In other words, in order to create any limitation, we've either got to have a germinal point of that creation of that limitation, or we destroy something that's a possibility and put limitation in its place by buying a more limited point of view than we actually have as beings.
It sounds like it's a modality that where you're giving people, here's the tools, go empower yourself. You don't need me. You don't need anything else. You just need to start asking yourself the right questions and be open and be open-minded about it.
Yeah, and watch the miracles that occur.
Dain, I know you've written that the truth will make us feel instantly lighter, and the fact that a lie actually holds us down and gives us a bit of a heavy feeling.
Right.
Can you elaborate on that sensation a little bit?
Yeah, basically it's this, truly what is true for you will always make you feel lighter. What's not will always make you feel heavier. And the thing you want to realize is what's true for you may not be true for anybody else. So you might be in a room full of 50 people and somebody presents a piece of information and says, hey, we can really change this. And 35 of those people are like, yes, we can. And 15 are like, Well, that's because for the 15, it's not true for them. Yeah. For the 35, it actually is. And the difficulty is what we've done is we've spent so much of our lives trying to make what feels heavy to us somehow come to some sense of lightness rather than going, oh, that's just not true for me.
Awesome. So, talking about relationships and caring.
That
I'm subject. Sure, whenever we get someone on the show with such great insight, we always wonder, hey, what's the secret to relationships? Can we attract a better partner into our life, or can we improve on the love that we're experiencing with our current partner?
Yeah, this is a big one. But basically, it's like this. Most of us have been looking for the quote-unquote love of our lives. And what that entails is so many points of view about what they should be and who they should be and who we have to be, because we have so much judgment of us that we think no one would love us. And really what it entails is getting out of the judgment of us and the other person. If you don't love the person you're with, if you don't have total gratitude for them exactly as they are, it's not going to be something that's working, because you're always going to be putting energy into trying to change them. What you want to be with is somebody that you love and adore and have total gratitude exactly as they are right now. So my suggestion is write down everything you'd like to have in a partner and everything you'd not like to have in a partner, and then ask the universe to allow it to show up. Because what happens is if you write down just the list of everything you desire, you'll get it, but you'll get this entire other list of things that don't really work for you, but you won't be able to see it until it's too late.
Okay, so obviously we're hoping everyone's going to tap into the book. Is there any little cutting edge bits of wisdom that you've come across lately that you'd be willing to share with us, Dain?
So one of the big things that I found is, we talked earlier about 98% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't belong to you. Well, one of the things that I found is that what most people have done their entire lives is actually mimic their friends, their parents, their family, and all the people around them. And so it's something called biomimetic mimicry. Biomimetic, it's like now what science is doing, it's like if they want to build a better airplane wing, they study how a bird's wing actually works.
Yeah.
It's like, and then they mimic it to the best of their ability. Well, we've done the same thing with everything we didn't understand, with our parents, with our friends, with our relationships, with our lovers, with everybody who's ever been in our life, that we didn't get what they were doing. We literally would mimic it energetically and try to somehow in that way understand it. So one of the things I've asked people to do is ask, when they feel like they're around somebody and not being them, to say, how much biomimetic mimicry am I doing here? And let it go. Now, you can pock and pot it, basically. I mean, that's what I suggest people do. People who have this tool sort of have an edge up in a sense, because what you do is you go, okay, am I willing to let this go? Yes. Okay, pock and pot it all. And literally, you'll notice, you'll start to realize that you start to have a greater sense of lightness, a greater sense of joy, a greater sense of possibilities. And you'll start to go, wait a minute, I've actually been mimicking the people I work with. I've been mimicking the people I'm in relationship with. I've been mimicking the people I'm in love with. I've been mimicking the people that were my family. Oh my gosh. And this is one of the reasons why so many people, they get to midlife, or the supposed midlife crisis idea. Yeah. Because what happens is they get to this point and they realize, my life has nothing to do with me. I've been living for everybody else around me. And in essence, what really creates that is this mimicry that we've learned to do since we were little kids. So anybody you think about, any way in which you're around somebody and you feel like you're not being you anymore, You want to go all the biomimetic mimicry, or BMM for short, all the BMM, pock and pot, all that. One of the things that we found in Access Consciousness is that 98% of your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions don't actually belong to you. You literally pick them up like a big psychic radio receiver. Like if you've ever been around somebody who's sad, do you notice how you start to feel sad and you don't know why?
Exactly.
And you're thinking, wait a minute, I'm not the sad one here, except that's got such an intense resonance to it that we end up vibrating like that. You know, we're kind of like tuning forks to other people. When they start vibrating like this, we start vibrating like this, and we don't realize, wait a minute, I was vibrating like this before this person came along. You know what I mean? Literally, if you ask, who does this belong to every thought, every feeling, every judgment, every heaviness you have for 3 days, at the end of 3 days, you walk around like you're in a walking, talking meditation.
Awesome, man.
Thanks, my man.
Here's the book, folks. Being You, Changing the World. If you've just tuned in, you just see we've just had some amazing insights directly from Dain. And obviously that's probably got your curiosity spiked. Get the book and empower yourselves. And I'm guaranteeing there's going to be a million little tools in here. You can start asking yourself the right questions and start clearing yourself up energetically and literally empowering yourself. You have the power. Don't be looking outside for all this, I need help, I need this. No, it's you. And there's people like this man here who are just saying, look, here it is. Go use it and empower yourself and build up your momentum and be everything that you can be. Mwah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye-bye.